Portsmouth marijuana business is running out of options for keeping its cultivating license. This after a Pulaski County judge this week denied Storm Nolan's request to intervene in a long-running legal battle over his license, with the judge ruling that has been incorrectly granted by state regulators. Arkansas Business has been following this case since day one. Editor Lance Turner now joining us to talk about what happened with this. So this morning, the judge says, I'm done with this. So what actually started this fight over this license?
Right. Well, Storm Nolan's company, River Valley Relief Cultivation, was the final company to get the final cultivator license in Arkansas back in 2020. A rival company called 26 Holdings of Little Rock sued over that decision and alleged that Nolan's application was flawed and that state regulators had given Nolan special treatment and that 2600 should have received that license instead. Now, that case has been working its way through the courts, and earlier this month, a judge ruled that the state erred in awarding the license to Nolan, and then he basically ordered the state to fix its mistake and revoke Nolan's license and then award it to a qualified company, which would be 26 Holdings of Little Rock.
So what has Storm said about this, if anything?
Right. Well, so 2600 had sued state regulators and not Nolan directly, but Nolan has tried to intervene in the case, but he waited until earlier this month to do so. And the judge says, well, you're too late, and has denied his application or his request to intervene. Nolan has declined to talk to us on the record, but in his court filings, he says that the judge's decisions in this case are flawed. For example, the judge says that Nolan's cultivation site is too close to a school, which goes against licensing rules, but Nolan points out that the school in question is a juvenile detention center that happens to offer classes and isn't necessarily a school per se. He also notes, of course, that he's invested millions of dollars into this business, that $6 million in cannabis would go to waste should he lose his license, and that 75 people would lose their job should his business be forced to close.
This sounds like it's been a mess from day one. So what happens next?
Well, the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board, which handles licensing in Arkansas, has set a hearing on the revocation for November the 28th. But even that move has drawn another legal challenge. 2600 Holdings says that the judge should block that hearing from taking place, saying that the state is not complying with the judge's order to immediately revoke the license. They call this hearing an unnecessary step that provides even more special accommodations to Storm Nolan.
Yeah, at some point, we're going to talk about who's to blame for this, but that's a whole nother segment, I think, from now.
Lance, it is, absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Remember, you can read all about this and other business news of the day at arkansasbusiness.com.